Counter Narrative News brings you daily news today on Tuesday, the 9th of May 2023. First, going to Palestine, the white supremacist colonial state has decided to conduct murderous airstrikes on the sieged Gaza Strip, the small strip of land that the settler colonial entity basically treats as a hostage community. And what happened overnight speaks to that, as Israel conducted airstrikes on Gaza, killing up to 15 people, including leaders of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad group, which is part of the Palestinian community of resistance organizations. Jihad Ghanem, Tariq Izzeddin, and Khalil al-Batini of Palestinian Islamic Jihad all lost their lives in the Israeli airstrikes, along with 5 women and 4 children of their wider family. They were all in their residences when they were murdered. And the white colonial settler state, whenever it wants to create any kind of crisis and attempt at diverting people's attention from its own deepening crisis, uses Gaza in this manner. It provokes it, it massacres, and then it just instrumentalizes this whole situation politically to further oppress the occupied Palestinian people. We wish the Palestinian resistance all victories as they go forward in their efforts. Going over to Sudan, there are now over 700,000 people who've been displaced in Sudan as a result of the conflict in Khartoum, the Sudanese capital, between 2 toxic supremacist forces of the RSF on the one hand, of Hemedti, and of the Sudanese armed forces run by Burhan. There's no real political difference between them. It's a faction fight. It's a factional global fight between regional and global players, not least UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Turkey. Also, Egypt's leader Sisi has a hand in that. Even the old CIA man in Libya, Haftar, has his hands in it. And of course, Russia as well, particularly through its racist death squad, Wagner. And the West continues to manipulate the Sudanese people by patronage and funding, keeping them in a weakened and dependent state on the so-called West. Going over and staying in the region somewhat, the Arab League has decided to readmit Syria, the Syrian government and state, after a decade of its expulsion around the project to destroy Syria and smash the state, led by Western neo-colonial forces and their primary allies in the region, not least the state of Israel, Turkey, Jordan, and the Gulf monarchies. Syria, on its part, allowed itself to deepen its alliances with the global far right, adopted actually a Western neo-colonial war on terror framework against its own people, invited in another neo-colonial superpower, Russia, to bomb at will and joy however many Muslims they wanted to massacre in their bombing raids. And it's become a sorry state of affairs, absolute tragedy for the people impacted in Syria. The Syrian people have no way out of this. They have no real leadership or anyone to really undo the gross amount of damage that has been done for 10 years in their country, and one wishes them a lot of solidarity and sympathy for what they've been going through. Finally, in really laughable, farcical and hypocritical scenes and commentaries by Vladimir Putin at the May the 8th Victory Day celebrations, which is the Victory Day commemorating the victory of the Soviet and Allied forces against the Axis powers in the Second World War. And then Putin, just strange comments. It's just incredible how anyone can really believe anything this person says in putting the whole situation on its head. So it's a Victory Day celebration against a massive, at that point, the biggest neo-colonial military power known to the planet, which was Nazi Germany, allied to Italy and Japan. But today, Putin is leading a quote-unquote special military operation against a state a tenth of the size of the Russian state, that's Ukraine. Whereas Ukraine disproportionately suffered more losses in the Second World War, in the Nazi occupation, etc., than even Russia did. I mean, the only thing Putin is correct in a narrow sense, is that yes, the Western capitalism cannot tolerate any attempts at competition with it in the global capitalist markets in pursuit of the highest rate of super profits and profit making. Therefore, like the First and Second World War, it will go to war eventually, either an open war like the First and Second World War, or wars by proxy. Now, of course, Western neocolonialism is going to use Ukraine to weaken its strategic global capitalist rival, which is the Russian state. However, and this is the complexity of the whole issue, the politics of the Russian campaign are itself a openly, blatantly white supremacist, racist, war on terror, and a neo-colonial military operation itself, with all the toxicity and the squalid nature which all of that brings. So the politics on the Russian side is nothing to support, and the politics of the Western side instrumentalizing and using Ukraine for its strategic interests is nothing to support either. However, in a sense of ethics and principles, the right of self-determination, particularly smaller nations against aggression by superpowers, is a principle that we have to hold on to and not lose sight of, despite all of these complexities in the world today. That's Counter Narrative News, bringing you daily news. Wishing everyone a fantastic evening. Please continue to support us by encouraging your friends and contacts, by following our YouTube channel, and please consider following us on Twitter at counter_CNN. Many thanks.